Anarchiosis. Come on up. Anarchiosis.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
Can you hear me all clear?
Yeah, I can hear you great. Now, what would you like to debate about?
Dope. Yeah, I just want to say first of all, thanks for debating with me.
Sure.
As you saw, I sort of slid into your DMs and asked if we could have a discussion. I'm
Basis,
actually
sure.
friends with yeah, I'm actually a friend with Socrates. I don't know if you know him.
Okay. Yeah, I actually do know Socrates. Yeah.
Okay, because he was the one who recommended I talk with you.
Cool. All right. What did you want to debate?
Um, so I'm an anarchist, so you probably already know all my positions.
Okay. Are
But
you a right wing anarchist or a left wing anarchist?
see, that's interesting because I would be curious what the distinction you would think that is.
Well, one of them argues some bizarre form of capitalism, and then the other one says that, like, under an anarchic system, you can't actually have capitalism.
Oh, okay, I understand. Um, okay, well, I would be a voluntary anarchist, so you'd probably consider me a right-wing anarchist.
So you would say that you're in favor of capitalism?
Yeah, I'm in favor of voluntary association, and
Hmm.
capitalism is just the natural process of voluntary association.
Okay, all right, I see. Um, what do you think of
I
contract law?
Contract law.
Hmm.
Well, we can get into that if you want. I actually created an opening statement because I didn't know what you wanted to talk about. I saw that you had a position on Keynesian versus Austrian economics.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, I don't know if you're interested in that at all. I
Sure.
prepared like a little opening statement where my thoughts on inflation, specifically why I think Keynesians don't have a very good position on inflation.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the instance regarding stagflation, and then there's the additional instance where you have hyperinflation, where an Austrian position would be appropriate, right? But those are the only instances where it is appropriate. Whereas every other situation, it's going to be Keynesian. Like you'll end up with more beneficial outcomes by applying Keynesian in most situations.
Okay, so do you agree with the Austrians then on inflation at least?
On certain parts of inflation, sure.
Okay, so you probably so would you disagree with like at least most of government money creation?
No, there's instances where
You,
it's
you,
necessary to have government money creation. Times of
okay,
war, that's one good example.
sure, that's true. I'm
Yeah.
also against war, but
Well,
um
sometimes you have to have liquid capital in situations where, fighting is necessary.
that's true. I would agree on a defensive war. I absolutely agree with that. But I mean, this isn't about this isn't about a war though. But okay, let me give you my position on inflation real quick, and then I'll let you respond to that. How's that sound?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just gonna read this quick thing I wrote up. So I've been told repeatedly that inflation is central to a thriving economy, but I have yet to encounter a compelling case for why this is. The case for inflation seems tenuous at best, and my understanding of inflation is as follows. And you can feel free to correct me afterwards if you think I'm wrong. Borrowers benefit from the erosion of their debt. When inflation occurs, those who borrow from banks and other lenders repay their debt with money that is worth less than when they originally borrowed it. This mechanism primarily aids that the wealthiest individuals and industries who can borrow against their billions of dollars of assets gain the most reward. Conversely, those with fewer appreciating assets, typically the lower class, do not benefit from this erosion. Inflation also benefits businesses that sell products. As more money is introduced into the economy, the value of resources increases. This surge in economic activity leads to higher demand that sellers struggle to meet, prompting them to raise prices. And this is the reasons why I think deflation is a better economic policy. Increasing purchasing power, encourages saving and reduces debt, discourages speculative investing, which is the things that causes bubbles, corrects market imbalances, helps those with fixed and low incomes, directly shows the benefits of technological advancements and increased efficiency, avoids the hidden tax of inflation, which I would consider a hidden tax, but that might be loading the statement. And then I just think that I think deflation makes everything so much easier for everyone to understand, so that you don't have to be like have a second job in economics to know what to do with your money. So that's basically my position on inflation, in the Keynesian inflation.
So you have no compelling case for inflation? You can find not a single one?
No, I understand the compelling case for inflation. I'm just not sure that it's good enough to pursue. So I understand that inflation at its best, and maybe you have a better argument, but inflation is to stimulate the economy. And when you stimulate the economy, this essentially makes it so that our economy grows, more people go out into the economy and they work. They buy more products, and this is kind of what keeps things moving. The
Okay.
reason why I don't think this is the case is because it appears to me that we don't need any stimulant in the economy. People will naturally go to buy things that they want to buy. People will naturally save money that they want to save, and people will naturally invest when they want to invest. And I don't think people need to be prompted artificially in order to do those things.
Are are you aware of what a deflationary spiral is?
Yes.
Okay, so then why would you say such a thing? You said that there's no
Okay.
compelling case and that people would naturally do that, but we have many historical implications of a deflationary spiral. For anybody who doesn't know what a deflationary spiral is, just for the audience, a deflationary spiral is where people know that their money will be worth more in the future, right? And so what happens is that people go, okay, I'm going to save my money now, knowing that it will be worth more later, right? And so when there is this kind of deflation, people stop spending their money. And the one thing that businesses need to do in order to thrive is that they must have customers spending money in their shop in order to like keep employees and to maintain opening up their shop. So in this instance, where people believe that their money will be worth more in the future, people stop spending money. This results in businesses not getting enough money to survive, which then means that those businesses close down. Because those businesses close down, those employees lose out on a job, which then means that there are more people that don't have money to be able to buy things, which then causes more people to not be able to shop, which causes more businesses to go out of business, which causes more people to lose out on their job. And it's this infinite deflationary spiral. Right? That's where we got the idea of John Maynard Keynes, where they came up with the idea of, wait, what if we can like encourage spending, right, from a governmental level? And so when they encouraged spending during the Depression era, they realized that they actually were able to basically kickstart the economy, right? So this is an example of what's called demand pull inflation. So you said that earlier that you can't find a compelling reason, but that's a very, very good reason.
Yeah. So, um, my understanding of the death spiral is that I think that it's not the case because people will go out and buy and they when they need things. We have investments, and
I mean,
people that
maybe
want to
basic
invest will invest.
necessities,
Yeah, exactly. And see, I
but
don't
people
see
want to
what's
live
wrong with
more than
that.
just the basic necessity. Like I don't want to live in like in like a dystopia where all I have is like the basic necessities. I want there to be more than just that. I want people to thrive. I don't want people to survive.
Agreed. But also, I think that people should be able to choose what they want to do. They should be able to buy what they want to do, and they should be able to save their money. So I don't see. I just don't think that the death spiral will exist, and I don't think there's sufficient data. I've seen
It did
empirical
happen.
data on it, but they don't. Yeah, well, okay. There's different reasons attributed to the depressions, and as you know, there's different economic theories for why the depression and the recessions occurred. There's nothing that we know absolute. We have factors that we believe are highly attributed to these things, but they're still highly speculated upon. And as you would know, the Austrians assume that government spending is what causes the recessions to occur. But as per the point before, the reason why I think that deflation would be good is that I think it would be better if we had a savings economy
Wait,
where
you think
everybody
deflation is
chose to
better
do.
than inflation?
I think product deflation is good. Yeah.
All right. Well, here's what I would probably recommend to you is well, you would assume that that's good, but you really should just look at your basic economist for this one. There, you're going to find that that no, almost no economist is going to argue in favor of a product deflation because it causes the deflationary spiral that you're referring to. That's the problem. It doesn't spur on economic growth. It decelerates economic growth and it actually makes things worse. It causes less jobs.
Okay, so I don't explain this better to me because my understanding is that there's appreciating assets will continuously go up in value. So things like gold and Bitcoin and other assets and things like these. And they're going up in value, but why does it's I guess there's two ways of looking at this, which is that hard assets can go up in value and in purchasing power, or they can stay stagnant and products go down in price, right? There's just two ways of looking at it. And they don't really change anything about the economy because we have the same amount of resources in the economy. Really, what's happening is every year, the efficiency gets better as we develop technology and, there's new investors and we have new employees and we have GDP growth and things like this happen. Now, in a deflationary economy, what would happen is the price of products and services would decrease and the money supply would stay the same. And so I think there's just two ways of looking at it. And I think that both economies or both types of systems have their advantages. But my position is just that a deflationary economy is more beneficial for everyone because everyone is a consumer. And not everyone is a wealthy investor like those who use debt to their advantage. Like we've got these people who borrow against their billions of dollars of assets and they can erode away their debt and they get, great profits out of it. But your everyday person, when their price is inflating, like you've noticed this probably, when you go to the store and the prices keep getting higher, my experience is that I don't get.
Let me ask
I
you
worked
this.
in retail.
Why do you think the Federal
Can
Reserve, sorry, go ahead.
Let me just say this one last thing and then I'll let you go. Um, I've worked in retail my whole life, and I get very very small raises, and according to inflation, I'm actually losing money every year. So while they're giving me raises, if inflation's like 3% and I get a 1% raise, I'm actually losing 1% of the money I get from that job every year. So yeah.
So let me ask you this. Why do you think that the Federal Reserve doesn't go into a negative interest rate triggering the deflation that you're referring to? Why don't they do that? I mean, they're economists, they're
Well,
bankers, they are people who understand economics much more than you and I. But why would they go, I don't want to do this deflationary spiral?
why do they not want to do
Yeah.
negative interest rates?
Yeah.
Well, because if they did negative interest rates, then they would lose money. Are you talking about why they wouldn't want a
No,
deflationary economy
no,
instead of
no.
an
That's the
inflationary
Federal
economy?
Reserve. They basically can make as much money as they need. So they wouldn't lose money. They have the money. So there's no amount of lose money. They can print as much as they want. So
Right.
my problem to you is this. Why would they do this? Why would they like want it? Why does like almost every economist want the inflation on a yearly basis to be anywhere between 2 to 5%? Why?
Well, their reasons are to stimulate the economy. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to get into conspiratorial territory. Why is different
So you
than
think it's a
what
conspiracy?
or how?
You think it's a
Well,
conspiracy?
no. No, because right now we're talking about how things happen and who's going to be affected.
Yes, I'm asking you
When we talk about
why.
why, when we talk about why, we're talking about motivation, right?
Well, I can
And the
give you the
thing
answer as
is,
to why I think why, right?
okay, yeah, let me hear your answer.
Well, you already answered it. It actually does
Because it
output
stimulates the
to a better
economy.
economy. It actually does help the economy to stimulate spending. Now, I agree with you. There's a level of hyperinflation where a level of austerity politics or austerity economics is necessary, but that's a very long jump from what I'm talking about, or rather what you're talking about. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like I said before, both of these systems have their benefits. The only thing I'm saying is that a deflationary economy benefits more people.
That's
I
not
think
true.
you're taking the position,
Not at all.
sorry, benefits more the consumer, meaning people who are in poverty, people who don't make much money, people who are on fixed incomes. When we have inflationary, we have a debt-based economy, and you can use debt to, leverage your assets and then get more money and erode away your debt.
Okay.
That's why I think,
Do
and
you
I think
think
one of the
that do
rain,
you think that people tend to invest in do you think how about this? Is investment a good thing?
yeah, absolutely.
Right? It stimulates the economy, moves the economy forward. All right, cool. Good. So would you say that lack of investment is a bad thing then? Like there people are avoiding investing,
Yeah.
right? Less factories, less jobs, less everything. Okay? All right. So do people tend to invest when there is a weakening economy?
Yes.
Really? Why don't you educate me on that?
Uh, so you just said people tend to invest less when the economy is weakening, right?
If an economy is weakening, normally what people do is that they run for the fucking hills. That's what they do.
Yeah, so they stop investing, right? They
Yeah,
pull out their
they
money.
they they
They
put it into
liquidate.
something that they know is going to give them value, right? So they leave your economy and they take that money and go invest elsewhere where they know their money will be safe.
I
So
see what you're
when
saying.
you have a weakening economy, right? This you're talking about something when you have deflation from an economic standpoint, just a raw economic standpoint, deflation is where people aren't spending their money, causing people to drop their prices to try to get people to start buying again. Deflation is a very strong indicator of a weakening economy, right? Economists fear deflation because falling prices lead to lower consumer spending, which is a giant and major component in economic growth. So companies respond to falling prices by slowing down production, which leads to layoff and salary reductions, which further lowers demand and prices. This is the same deflationary spiral. This problem doesn't go away. I think that you may. I'm going to recommend a book to you because I used to think exactly like how you're thinking. And then I read this book and it completely undid all of like the libertarian thinking that I had on this topic. So I'll send it to you. I'll post it in side chat. It is called Austerity by Mark Blith. Highly, highly recommend if you have Audible. I recommend this book. I think you'll learn a lot with just this book.
Okay. Thanks.
But I don't know. Is there anything you particularly disagree with what I've said so far?
Um, yeah, I mean, it requires a discussion for I think so I'm just currently studying it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I can see, it makes complete sense. I can see that maybe I'm just not the best defense of it. Um, my position is just, you've heard my position. But yeah, I believe that you're not losing any resources in a deflationary economy. It's basically just it's basically just a different way of looking at it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
I was
the
watching.
kind of deflation
So,
I think you're looking for is increased production of goods and products, which cause the product to decrease in price. That would be a sign of a healthy economy, right? And it would
did
give
I not
you
say
the
cost deflation? I meant to say product and service deflation.
okay, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, well, the product and service
Oh, okay.
deflation um, that comes down to just there being more products in the market, which shifts the supply curve to the right. That means that price P1 reaches P2 in lowering, and that would increase quantity demanded. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. That's a sign of a healthy
Okay, cool.
economy.
So then we agree on that. That's cool. That's cool.
Well, I'm saying like if
Um,
the Federal Reserve decided that they were going to implement negative inflation, that's it's a horrible idea. That would kill the economy very easily,
no,
very
no. Yeah,
easily.
I'm not saying we should burn money, right? I'm saying deflation of costs and services is healthy for the economy. That's all I'm saying.
Which all that means is make more product, make more service.
Yeah, or make more efficiency, right?
So yeah. So it's basically that you do things that incur spending. But yeah, that's there you go. I hope that makes
Okay.
sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
All right.
I saw you debating King Synth
King
the
Sithis.
other yeah, King Sithis. That was a funny debate. Can you refresh my mind? What were you guys talking about? I think it was contract law or something. I think that's how you tried to open this conversation with contract law. What's your position on that?
Yeah, I think like you can't actually have contract law unless if there's like a monopoly of force that grants like authority to that contract.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think private governments would be able to do that?
No,
Why not?
because I could just get in more people than what the private company or the private government has a hold of, and then in theory take over that area. And I just basically made your society into Mad Max with enough people. Whereas, like here, it doesn't matter how many people I collect together. The government they have a standing army, so they would just kill me, right? They would kill me and my supporters. That would be the end result. But if you don't have the monopoly of force, then you end up with Mad Max. And there's always what I
Okay.
call the Thungors of society.
Well, I don't think you need a monopoly of force to maintain law and order. You could just have lots of. Well, you obviously disagree with this, but like I think you could just have multiple, security agencies.
Okay, and then what if I have the biggest security agency, and then I just kill everybody who tries to stop me?
So I've actually heard this argument a lot of times, and I have a few questions. First of all, I think that they wouldn't do that even if they were bigger
Really?
because yeah, because well, so
Boy, do
here's the
I got
thing.
some warlords in Somalia to contact. All right, sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
tell me about it. So the way I see it is war is very, very costly. And if you're going to go to war, you have to have a good reason for it. And
Uh-huh.
if you did have like, let's say you had like a giant security agency that was very powerful, had like drones and stuff, and they're extremely powerful, and they wanted to take over an area, I think that they would do a cost benefit analysis
Oh, bro,
to
no, it's
see if
actually
it's
very easy. All I would have to do is establish me, Thungor, as the best and the greatest. And if you want to be the best and the greatest, then you got to stick with me. And I'm going to tie a religion to it. I'm gonna make it.
yeah.
I'm gonna make it this messianic jihad that nobody would be able to stop me.
I think that I think technology's going to definitely change well, it's already changing, the planet very, very quickly. Um and I think that we're going to naturally move away from government. I don't think we're ever going to vote out government. I think we're just going to move naturally away from it. And I think this is one of the things that would cause, a powerful security agency from taking over is first of all, we're going to have internet, we're going to have social media, we're going to have independent journalists. I think it's going to make it very difficult for an independent security agency to go to war, take over people. I think everybody would see this. I think everybody would not like this in the same way that when Russia decided to invade Ukraine, every single other country on earth was like, okay, you're fucked, bro. And then, what is it? Biden started putting tariffs on them, and, all the other countries had their own things they were doing. But I think it gives you a bad rap. It gives you a bad reputation. And I think that companies prize most of all is their reputation for the customers. And if somebody's investing in this really powerful security firm, it might be a dangerous investment to put all your money in something that's like gonna, violently, kill other people. It's not a good investment. And The people who invest in this have families. The people who work for this company have families. They're going to see this. They're going to have moral problems with this. I think there's just too many factors in a modern day with the internet and with all the, you know, I just think there's too many factors for them to be able to take over.
Do you think people have a greater grasp on the facts now? Now that we have the
I see
internet?
what you're saying. I see what you're saying. There's like a quote where it's like 80% of all information on the internet is misinformation or something like that. I know what you're saying.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's 80%, but it's definitely like alarming, right? Like prior,
Yeah.
I remember prior to the internet, there weren't flat earthers,
What were
right?
there?
I mean,
Oh,
maybe,
I see
but
what you're saying.
like how many of these people were there? Like they just weren't around. It just wasn't something you talked about or heard of. It's like this level of I don't want to call it brain drain, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's a tough one for sure because the internet's a positive and a negative for many different reasons. You know, for one, it's made it so that a bunch of information is wide and available to everyone. But that can also be a problem because not all information is equal. Some information is just false. Some information is misleading, and you can make very dogmatic cases for why you should believe things that are just wrong.
Yeah, so I'll
And
basically just
I can definitely see
create
that
my
danger.
little internal like jihad, and then I will be the new God King leader. And I will possess a reputation that will be messianic, right? I will be like a prophet, and I will amass tons and tons of guns, and I will get people to sacrifice their stuff because they could eventually be as good as me. And then I give anybody that supports me lots and lots of guns. And then pretty soon I got thousands and thousands of people that will kill themselves from in my name. And now I have more power than the private security forces in that vicinity. Now I tell those people that they can join me or they die by fire.
I don't know, bro. Wouldn't somebody record you like doing any of this stuff,
Yeah,
or you
that would
think they?
only help me.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think people would. That's probably just
No,
a
but that's the thing.
difference of opinion.
People have and done and will. That's the problem. It has
Yeah,
happened
but like
before. I'm not
in
making this
America,
yet. No, not in America. But you think that this can't happen in America? Have you seen what the Scientologists did to Clearwater, Florida?
yeah, I watched a documentary about them. It's crazy.
You think
I
that
no,
they
I
couldn't
so
potentially, like, if there was no monopoly of force, that they couldn't completely ransack that shit?
no way, dude. I think we're
No,
going in a positive
they have
direction.
more
Wait,
money than we
yo,
do,
wait,
and
listen to
more
me.
money
Hear me
than the
out. Hear me out.
private force. Go ahead.
Hear me out, bro. Hear me out, bro. Hear me out. Okay. What do you think of YouTube, right? YouTube is interesting because it's a completely decentralized system where I think we both know that it is heavily censored in certain areas, especially when you're discussing some topics. But I think for the most part, YouTube is very decentralized in that you have millions of YouTubers making videos about other YouTubers and like keeping them accountable and like and I will agree with you, there's lots of misinformation, there's lots of bad opinions, but there's lots of people scrutinizing the behavior of other people and they're showing this information to all the people on the internet. And you've got great people that rise out of this, like CoffeeZilla. I don't know if you like CoffeeZilla or not, but he basically exposes these scammers for everybody to see, and he does it for essentially free. He's getting paid by
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, but he's turned it into entertainment. He's turned um, getting rid of scams into entertainment for free, and it's an incredible thing. But you have all these people scrutinizing each other's behaviors. You've got people like you've got Hassan and Vosh and Tim Pool, and you've got all these people who are scrutinizing geopolitics and other YouTubers' behaviors. and they're kind of laying it in the open for everybody. And it does take a rational person to decipher all this information. But
Hmm.
I think that we're going in a good direction where if we scrutinize all these details, we do get closer to the truth.
Okay. Uh, well, do you think that? Do you think that the? Do you think that Donald Trump is like a person who is pro the facts? Would you say? Are they like a factual person? Do they consistently say factual statements?
I think Donald Trump is a politician and he'll say what he needs to in order to get voted.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think that he is a liar, or do you think that he's like generally he's a guy of facts?
I wouldn't say he's a liar. I would say he lies a lot, probably.
Okay. Would you say that does would you say how popular do you think Donald Trump is?
I would say he's pretty popular.
But we have the internet. I don't understand. I could
Well,
fact
but
check
here's
his work, and within I don't know 30 seconds,
so
I can already
you well,
find
so,
that
yeah.
almost everything he says coming out of his mouth is a lie. Almost all of it.
But this is, dude,
And
this is
so,
the
but
problem with
here's the thing,
politics.
right? I can Google it and do that information, but I'm fighting with 150 million Americans that say that I'm the idiot.
So
Like
I,
I don't think just having access to the facts is going to make things better for you. I really don't.
I think you're assuming that all people who support Trump agree with Trump, like most of the stuff he says.
I
I
never
would
said that.
disagree. I would say
I
that
never said
most
that.
people, okay, well, I would say that most people are choosing the lesser of two evils when they support Trump. That's what I think would be. If Trump can do one thing better than Biden, then I think that people will prefer to support Trump over Biden. I think that those two choices that we have are not very good choices, and I would much prefer a system where it's far open, where you can choose a person that more closely aligns with your views. But I think this binary system of Republican and Democrat is destroying this nation because it's too there's not
I'm
enough
what I'm
room in order to get your
my point
policies
isn't to
in.
talk to you about Trump versus Biden, right? The point that I'm trying to illustrate to you is that just because people have access to correct information doesn't mean they're going to apply it. In fact, it's quite probable that they go in the literal opposite direction.
Yeah, that can certainly be the case.
Well, to me, that's a big concern. I'm concerned about that. Are you concerned about that? I'm very concerned about that.
I am concerned about that. And well, I mean this I think this sort of brings it back to anarchism where that's exactly why I'm an anarchist. I don't want people who are misinformed to choose the state of my life.
I've
That's sort
heard
of what we have in
people
politics.
tell me, unironically, right? Unironically, based off of what's that one freaking moron that he said 1 times 1 equals 2.
Oh, the guy on Joe Rogan.
Do you understand like the level that we're at, dude? We're at first grade mathematics, and they're like, this guy is a genius. 1 times 1 does equal 2. I had to sit down and I had to break that down. Terrence Howard. I had to break that
Yeah.
down to somebody in their 20s. And they have all the facts. I sat
They
there.
probably went to
I had
public
to
school.
count the, yeah, I had to count. Yeah. Well, I mean, it turns out when you pull funding away from public school, people tend to have worse grades, and the No Child Left Behind Act didn't do us any justice either. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. But you highlight a good point, which is a lot of people are misinformed, and you probably take a different stance on this. But that's exactly why I don't like politics. I think that I don't want people to speak for me, and I don't want people to guide the direction of my life. I want to guide the own direction of my life. I want to spend money on things that I value, and I don't want anybody else to vote for something that I don't believe in. And as long as I'm not hurting anyone else, I just want to live my life peacefully without being coerced by a third party. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that if you want your government, sure, have your government. But what about the
Mhm.
rest of us who don't want it? That's why I'm cool with what is it? Texas wanted to whatever. Is it recede from the U.S.? I think that that's a good
You
idea. I
mean
think that
secession? Secede from the?
secession. That's
You're out
right.
of your mind.
Yes,
You think
secede.
you want the economy to be better, and you're okay with secession? What do you think people did about money back then?
What What do you mean? What are you talking about?
They had their own bills. Let me ask you this, right?
Wait, I don't understand
Let
what
me
would be
ask you.
wrong about
No.
secession.
So okay, hold on. I'll take you through the train of logic. So to me, what I consider to be a better society is a society where more people can satisfy the lowest levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs as possible. That way, people can pursue the things that they find valuable. Okay, so as little barriers to entry to do that as possible. Okay, so when I look at like our basic economics questions, I ask the question, hey, um, in order to have a better off system, more people need to be able to contribute. They need to be able to trade. And as little barriers as possible to trade need to happen in order for the society to get better, right? And in my eyes, it's the Maslow hierarchy of needs thing. Okay. So when you, let's say, have differences in currency, this is instances that actually reduce trade, not increase it, because there is the task of having to convert your currency to the currency of your location. So it's just that much. It's an additional step, an additional barrier required to entry that would normally not be there. Imagine you had to go to a Walmart and they don't take your card and they don't take your cash. You got to buy it with Walmart bucks. Do you think Walmart will do better in terms of like their money because you have to like go to the Walmart kiosk and get Walmart bucks? Probably not, right? It'd
No, but we
be
should have a gift card economy.
no, but do you see how it would be inconvenient?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
So by that inconvenience, that makes less trade. That makes the world a worse place.
Yeah, but I think we could fix that problem pretty easily. I mean, we already have global trade, and yeah, it's
But what you're
inconvenient, but
arguing is decreasing that.
like slightly.
But do you understand that I don't want any? I want zero, none. If now, I understand that there might exist barriers for a very necessary reason, and I'm not against a barrier on the basis that it's just a barrier. I argue going against a barrier that has no business being there. Like there's no reason. So like adding an additional currency is a no reason situation. I see no benefit and only incurrences in the lack of trade.
Okay, but I mean, I understand that, and that's a fair position to take, but it's your preferences against mine. I don't want to be controlled by a third party, and you don't want to be inconvenienced by trading with, another nation that uses a different currency. So it's like, who's going to win here? And I think that the way we win is you have to meet me halfway, which is I get my own nation and you get your own nation. And I think that's where we meet halfway. I think that's where we reduce the most amount of conflict.
I mean, that's kind of what countries currently have now. But I'm saying that like it doesn't do us any good, and in fact, it doesn't do you any good either by having this additional, uh, trade barrier that makes it harder to trade. It just doesn't
Well,
make any sense.
it doesn't do me any good for that one specific thing. But for the other things that I value, it makes my life a whole lot better.
But
Like
that
if I want to live
specific
in a
thing is
small
really
nation,
big. It's not a small thing.
well, yeah, it can be a big thing, but what would be bigger for me would be something like if I had no taxes whatsoever instead of a fee for my costs of living in my nation. That would be a huge deal for me. And so I don't know how they would work it out, but they could easily create, businesses and software where, you can translate money. I mean, they have this with like e-commerce platforms and like Coinbase and stuff. Like they just transfer money and yeah, it takes a few minutes, sometimes a few hours, but they can transfer money from one currency to another and it's not super inconvenience. It's just, it takes an
How many
hour
people
or a
have you
few minutes out
talked
of your
to that
life.
because of their lack of understanding of the situation, they actually end up not involving themselves in the market at all? Have you ever observed that?
I don't talk to people much. I know you can tell that though.
I like your honesty.
Inform me.
Yeah, so like what happens is that people end up being anxious about having to do something like that because they don't understand exactly what's going on. One really good example is like stock markets. Like there's literally zero reason for you to not be involved in stock markets. You only have to gain from stock markets, and especially this year it's been freaking incredible this year. And like the problem is what I find is that people just they don't know how to do it, and it's daunting, right? It's like, what's an IRA? What's what's an individualized portfolio? How does this affect my taxes? Will I have to, incur, some sort of penalty? Will I lose all my money? That's one of the biggest ones. They're like, will I? And I'm like, bro, there are stocks that you don't really lose money. It's not really like possible. I mean, maybe to some extent it could be possible, but you would have much more problems on your hands than just your stock portfolio if these went down. But the point is that people don't understand it. And because of that, they're just like, fuck it. I just keep my account in the bank account.
Yeah, that's true. And that's that's why I want a savings economy. But you make a good point where, many people are financially illiterate and that makes it very, very difficult for them. I agree with that.
So, I mean, I don't know. When you're talking about changing the currency, I think what you're doing is you're reducing trade overall. And I mean, we can observe this. I mean, we saw Brexit happen. Their economy deflated and it was really bad for the economy. Nobody liked it. Almost everybody was like, why did we vote for that? That was a terrible idea. It's almost like economists were correct originally, and like they're going to continue to be correct about this. It's just a matter of whether or not people are willing to listen to it.
Yeah, and I mean, so I would agree with you. There's trade-offs on everything, and in the same way where like maybe a global like government would be a good thing in certain areas, I don't think that it would be best in all areas. So like if you had a global government, sure, you could definitely have a wide-ranging safety net for like people who need things, who
Well,
need products and
there's
services.
certain aspects of the
Um,
global government wouldn't really be viable because just people have different ideologies, like which I'm okay
well,
with.
that's exactly,
I
and
mean, I'd
that's
rather there be
exactly
more
my point.
countries that agree with the United States and liberal principles, and I think the world would be a better place. But there is levels of ideology that exist. But I mean, well, the problem, however, with your system is I genuinely believe that your society becomes Mad Max.
Okay, you beat me. You got me. It's gonna become Mad Max.
Wait,
Yeah, I just don't think it
wait,
will be. I mean, I see. Listen, and I'm not even a principled anarchist. I would be okay with a little bit less government. Like I would be fine with 50 states instead of the United States of America. You probably wouldn't like that, but I think that would be a vast improvement where we would just have 50 different states that didn't have an overarching federal government that just interacted between each other like different nations. And I think that would vastly improve our state because we would have more competition, keeping each other accountable. And for that reason, people would move to the better states. And then out of 50 states competing, they would all have to adopt better standards.
all right. Now I'm going to apply some hardball on you. All right, you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. Um, let's say that there's a state that just says we don't like black people. We don't want them in our
Yeah, like
society.
based.
And not only that, yeah, I wouldn't say base to that. Not only that, uh, uh, a majority of them are white. So they've been able to enact their own private militia and push out black people, or if black people still continue to live there, we just deny them access to businesses, we deny them access to restaurants. We just don't want black people in, we don't want minorities in that society, okay? So if that was the, would you be okay with that? That's okay in that state.
Yeah, I think that if they were voluntary interacting, I think there would be nothing wrong with that. But I think they would. I think that the takeaway from this is that they would. There probably wouldn't be a lot of people who agree with that, and they would. Most people would probably move away from that state and go to another state. And so I think that state would realize that their ideas is not working, and they would have to adopt a better standard.
But this is the problem, right? People don't just move because like the market efficiency is there. People will just do it because they possess some prejudice. That's what was observed in the South. Do you know what made it stop?
You're gonna say the Civil War, right?
No, 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 because we still had problems then. We
Right.
created the Civil Rights Act. So by the power of a gun, with force, we said no more. You're not allowed to do this. You can't do it. You are removing the inalienable rights of every individual who is a minority who cannot control it. That is not their fault. That's your fault. You have to be responsible for that. And so now you can't just simply deny a black person simply for being black access to a restaurant, a job, a building. They are allowed to contribute in society. That's what we did, and it worked.
Right, but if you extend that, it's going to make things work worse as you don't draw a line for how far that goes. And what ends up happening is, while that's good intentions and it's probably a good idea to do something like that, to create a standard like that, where you shouldn't discriminate against people, the unintended side effects are going to make something what we have now today, which is we have a wide swinging scale to the other side, where it's no longer it's bad to discriminate. It's like now we have like tokenism, and tokenism is so widespread and people use it, and it's ridiculous. It's like the other side of racism. It's like you have, direct racism, where you're just indiscriminately being, rude to people and such. And then you have the other side, which is where you're just using people instead, and you're using them as a token for your means.
What?
Um, but like I see that in businesses nowadays, and I've seen that in my workplace specifically, and it hasn't had good effects because I don't know what you think about meritocracy, but I think that meritocracy is like Lady Justice, she wears a blindfold. It's the same with meritocracy, where you wear a blindfold, and the best should go to the top, and that's what leads you to the most efficient state.
Do you think? I mean, we're getting off topic a bit
Have we been on
now,
topic?
yeah, yeah, we've been talking about your anarchic society.
True.
I think it. I just think it makes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a radical view on the state of the world and the state of politics. But I do think it would work, and this is probably just a difference in like economic beliefs, because if you think about it, economics is like the study of human action, and depending on what you think about the human action and our psychology, you're going to get to different answers. And because our fundamental axioms are different, we're probably never going to agree on certain things. And one of those things is like, I don't know, like market efficiency, free market efficiency, um, human action, marginal utility, things like this. We probably have disagreements on this, and that will never enable us to see eye to eye.
Mm,
But
well,
I think we can agree that liberalism is a good idea for the most part.
that's good. I like that. That's a good closing. Um, well,
Hell
I
yeah.
mean, I seriously, highly, highly, highly recommend you read that book I sent you. If you have an Audible subscription, get one because you'll learn a lot by just reading books. Like, it's insane. Stop reading YouTube. Stop watching YouTube. Stop. like,
I mostly read online, actually, free stuff, because I don't have a lot of money. But I mostly read
okay.
online.
All right. Yeah. I don't think Audible's that expensive. I think it's like, what is it, like $15 a month and then you get one book a month. It's great. You'll love it. Anyway, it was good talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Also, I recorded this for my YouTube channel. You're cool with that, right?
Perfect. Yeah, you're fine. I'll,
All
I'll
right,
even
thanks, man.
link me your YouTube channel and I'll put it in my comments.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, no
And
problem.
also, we should have a talk some other time
Hell
at
yeah,
some point,
base,
maybe.
dude. Yeah, I was much less friendly to
King said this.
King Sith. Bro, that guy has
Dude, I
the
was
worst
watching it
takes
today.
ever. That guy has
I
the
was,
worst.
I was. You guys were talking about the same thing for 30 minutes. I was losing my mind. I was like, I know you didn't like his take on. I don't even remember what his take was, but he said it like 6 times or something. Um, I forget exactly what his words was. He was like, you can't. He just kept restating the definition of something, and you disagreed with him about it, and it kept going in circles. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
It's good
Anyway.
content.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, man. I'll link my YouTube channel in chat. I appreciate it.
Sounds good. No problem. Bye bye.
All right, see ya.